It's the Wolf Media Festival podcast. Today's guests. For his journalism that can be found at togetherforsharon.com, author George Ackerman. And now, here's your hosts, Kyle Hollingsworth, Richard Wilmore, and Jacquelynn Wolfheart.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Gosh,
Happy
it's
November.
November.
I
Yeah.
know. Yay,
When did that
November.
happen? Feels like it was just October, like 10 minutes ago.
Like
I
5
know.
minutes ago. Yeah, seconds ago.
Time. Am I
So-
right?
I know that on Kyle's Facebook page, she for like 10 decades now has been doing like her daily gratitude. But I feel like November, everybody starts doing that.
10 decades?
Yeah, for 10 decades.
I
even
look
though-
good.
Yeah.
Good.
Even though
Lighting.
Facebook hasn't been around that long and you're still just a brand new baby, it's been
Aw.
decades and decades. It's been 100 years of you talking about gratitude. Richard, do you do the like daily updates of I'm grateful, thankful for whatever today in November?
I cannot be responsible for trying to do something every day consistently.
That's fair.
Like, I sometimes forget to brush my teeth. So
Richard.
I don't really, but no, I try. I always get I get really excited about that. And I get the gratitude journal, and there's a really cool craft that my friend Amy Lotta created. I don't know if she created it or not, but you get a pumpkin, and then instead of you write all the things you're grateful for around the pumpkin and decorate the
Oh.
pumpkin with that. And so it's a cool centerpiece for Thanksgiving,
So cute.
outdoor what. And I always think I'm going to do that, and then I don't.
Well,
Yeah.
you gave me an idea. I might do that.
So we should do that here on our Thanksgiving episode while we talk about ourselves. Is that our Thanksgiving episode?
Right on a pumpkin, like.
Yeah, maybe the questions could be on pumpkins.
Oh,
And then we
I'll pull a pumpkin. I'll
yeah.
pull a cute little
Have a
pumpkin
question
out.
down each bulb of the outer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah, but we are going to try to do a bonus Thanksgiving episode that is questions from the viewers. We've already gotten quite a few good ones. I think they're good ones. So I'm excited to hear your guys' answers
Send
to
them
them.
in. Send them
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
anybody else has more questions, they can definitely send them in.
Just whatever kind of questions you want answered that are within reason.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. We are open books, but some of the pages are missing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. Or
So-
torn or scribbled over, whatever.
Yes.
stuck
yeah.
Redacted.
Why
For
did I
sure.
say that? Redacted. Yes.
Great. Kyle, last week in our Halloween episode,
Uh-huh.
you were talking about your body painting. How did that go?
Oh, it was super. It was really fun. Yeah. I was dressed up in all black and there was a bunch of people there and I got to paint on people's faces and arms and one girl's legs. Yay. Yeah, it was really good. It was fun. I love body painting and I love costumes. So that was a really fun month.
I am excited about all the activities. We didn't really have anybody suggest new activities. So again, if you guys have an activity you want to take place at the festival, you can email me.
Mm. Should you share the email address?
Yeah, it's just admin@Wolf Media Fest. And I know, so we just announced winners on the 1st of this month.
Oh,
So
such good winners too.
I know.
Yeah.
I love all the projects that we get. So of course we're still accepting for the current months, which is until the 20th. And all sorts of things. So that reminds me of today's interviewer was he's an author, but he actually won for his interviews that he does on his website. So you can literally submit any kind of project you have in.
I have a question. Sorry, before we go to this great interview. Because I feel like the list of things that people can submit for is 6 miles long. So
Mhm.
can we talk about some of them, or maybe some that don't get a lot of submissions that would be fun to get so people know oh my gosh, I make that. I should be submitting to the festival.
Good idea.
Yes. We definitely don't. So let me clarify this first. If we don't have at least 5 submissions in a category, we can't move forward with it. So if you're the only one who submits to, let's just say romance novel, you're not just automatically the winner because you're the only one. So we have to have at least 5 people to compete you against and no more than 40 for the month. So I'll say that first, but we do not get enough podcast submissions. I think in general, or since we started podcasts, we've gotten 3 total. So we've never had a winner in a podcast. They are just pending. It's not like they submit and then we say you lose. We move them over. So eventually they will hopefully get to compete. So yes, I would love to have podcasts. I've so many times wanted to submit your guys's as like to me as well, but I don't want it to be like when you win that it's like, oh, it's because you work
I
Yeah.
want to
or
go up
whatever.
against Kyle. Hers is good. I'm not going up against hers.
Hello,
Well,
have
you
you
guys
seen
are
yourself?
different. I think we have 5 different categories, and you guys fall into different categories. So you wouldn't be against each other. You would be just in the podcast, your own category. But
Yeah.
I just don't want it to seem. I don't know how to anonymously submit you guys and have you anonymously win for your shows, your podcast. You know what I mean? Because I don't.
Yeah.
I
Can
want
people
you guys-
anonymously submit other people's work?
Yes.
Oh,
So
Interesting.
that brings me over to like our social media content creations. We get more of those than podcasts. Like we've gotten more than I can remember off the top of my head, but it still hasn't been enough to make a winner each month. But the ones we have, I would say most of them who have been submitted are submitted by fans of whoever that content creator is. So we have had 2 winners in general, but we have so many pending who are like pending competition because we need more submissions. But yes, you can submit fan, if it's something that we have access to. You can't just tell me like, hey, my friend wrote a book and not send us the book. We have to have access to it. And social media and podcasts are so easy for you to give us access to. You just send us the link and that's all. So
if I submit Madonna's Instagram video, does she win or do I win? Because I submitted it. And are you contacting her to be like, you won an award, or how does that work?
She would win, and we would attempt to contact her. If we can't contact her or get a response, she can still win for the month, but she can't win for the year. So
And then she can't come on this podcast, which she would be pissed.
Oh,
yeah, I know. She's actually been banging down my door, being like, "When am I gonna get on your
when am I
podcast?"
gonna get on there? I'm ready.
She's been all the DMs and the text. It's so
That's a
annoying.
lot.
Madonna.
I know. I got a text at midnight last night.
God, we got lives.
No, yeah. So you can submit anybody. Like one of our TikTokers who are social media. It doesn't have to be TikTok. It just has to be social media content. But it was a TikToker, Thomas Sanderson. I feel like he is a very famous TikToker or social media. He started out on Vine and he won, and he was so sweet and he's so gracious. And I'm pretty sure he's coming to the festival, but he has not booked to come on the podcast.
Dude.
Well, at a minimum, we'll do a live interview at the festival, right?
Yeah, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Which I think
Whether he
do.
wants to or not, we just corner him at like breakfast in the morning, and we're like, "So, what do you have here for breakfast?"
We have 2 other TikTokers that I'm obsessed with who are coming to the festival, but they are not. They're going to present at the award ceremony, and I keep wanting to submit them too. But here's my thing. They're both in the same category, and I don't want to have to be one of them as a winner and one of them as a not. So,
I just love that you just submit. It sounds like you just submit everybody's work. It's like you're out there finding things. You're like, I like this. I like this. I have this film media festival, so I can decide.
The thing that sometimes I really want to be doing that. I'm like, you're so talented. Let's submit you, but I still have to pay for it, and so it's so that's the thing too.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I think is so funny is that you're like running the thing and then also submitting all the work.
Yeah,
not all the work. You're making it sound like you are.
I really want to. Everybody, it's people who are talented piss me off because I'm so jealous. We have 2.
Wow.
Real angry, real
very
fast.
talented people hosting my podcast here, and you guys make me want to you're just so talented. It makes me like angry on the inside that why can't I be like that? Why can't I have what they have? I want to be just like you guys when I'm younger. When I grow younger. Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I just
thank you. And
yeah.
okay. God.
Well, apparently it makes you feel pissed off that
Yeah.
people are talented.
I hate everyone with talent.
I don't hate you guys, but I just it's like that cute aggression almost when something's so cute you want to eat it. Like that's what I feel with you guys.
But listen, everybody has talent. It just comes in different flavors. So, you know,
yeah.
there are people who have talents I would love to have, but
Like what?
I wish I had the talent for marketing. Like most creative people, it's my weakest link, you know, is getting myself out there, getting the word out there. Some people are so good at it.
I think that's so common among creative people, though.
It is.
Because there's also that, like, you know, you're really good at something and you do it, but then you're also afraid to put it out there and like talk about it and like promote it even more. I don't know. I find that a lot with creative people. It's really hard to run your own stuff, and I don't know.
Yeah. Yep. Every artist wants an assistant to do all that for them. And none of us.
That's why we started this festival, was try to help people. It's so hard to not feel like a salesman or like you're, what's the word I'm looking for? Like just being annoying on social media when you're like, look at my thing again. Look at my thing again. That's what we're for. We're here to be annoying for you.
Look at their thing.
That's what OnlyFans is for.
What's what for?
OnlyFans. Look at my thing. Look at my thing.
Yes, okay.
Oh, sorry.
Listen, I'm just talking about Instagram and, you know, whatnot.
OnlyFans doesn't just do perverted things, but I do think it originally started for like musicians.
It did as creators. Yeah.
Really? Oh, I thought it was all like juicy, spicy stuff.
It is now, but it started
now.
as like a platform to like follow your creators and like support them. Yeah. Like Patreon or whatever.
Like Patreon. Yeah.
Well,
Yep. But I just love that. Look at my thing. Bounced you over to OnlyFans. So, anyways, I want to show you guys, our listeners. I want to show you guys our thing, which is our interview this week with George Ackerman. So
Yay!
Enjoy.
Get ready for an unforgettable experience at the Wolf Media Festival. Join us at the Hilton Event Center, April 18th, 19th, and 20th, 2025, for a weekend filled with exciting films, creative workshops, inspiring panels, and interactive events. From film screenings to photography exhibits, podcast showcases to TikTok battles, there's something for everyone. Get your tickets now at www.wolfmediafest.com.
Our guest today is the Wolf Media Fest winner for Best Literary Journalism, Creative Nonfiction. Say that 5 times fast and see if you can also win that award. He and his family started Together for Sharon for the purpose of keeping his mother's memory alive and to share the message of Parkinson's awareness and hope for a cure. Please welcome George Ackerman. Ackerman,
but like we said earlier,
okay.
I'm usually go by Sharon, son George. It's a lot easier.
Okay.
It's like
well,
Madonna.
Welcome. Madonna's here on the show today, everyone. Welcome and congratulations on your award.
I appreciate it, and I'm really grateful for both of your time and your audience. It means the world to me. The first book I have ever written on Parkinson's awareness was dedicated in memory of my mother, Sharon, and talks about her battle with Parkinson's and my journey as caregiver, and then today as advocate. And we actually just released, ironically, 2 more books just this week, and these are actually interviews of other people. My first book was dedicated in my mother's memory, but for all those today battling Parkinson's and their families, my new book is about 200 interviews of people around the world. I was shocked to find out that 2 years after my mother passed, I thought there were just about 1 million people, which is bad enough, suffering with Parkinson's in the U.S., but then I discovered there were 10 million around the world. And at that point, I realized it wasn't just about me and my mother, but it's about everybody, and we have to be a family in this fight for a cure.
Yeah, it's a scary disease. I've watched many people who suffer from it, and how much it really deteriorates you as a human, which is scary. I'm sure scary to watch.
Yeah, my mother was she was only 69, so I feel like she lost 15 years alive and 15 years really after and a part of me kind of passed with her. She was my best friend. I always joke and say I'm proud. I need a shirt that says "Proud to be a mama's boy." But we had a very, very close relationship. I don't feel I'd be the man I am today or have the accomplishments if it wasn't for her sacrifices growing up. She was a school teacher, had a master's degree, and gave it all up just to raise me and my brother. And I knew when it was time that I had to step up for her.
Can we talk about what Parkinson's is for people who aren't fully aware?
Yeah, that's a great question and a very important one. Many people believe it's like Mr. Michael J. Fox, a famous actor, external tremor, so it's uncontrollable movement. But not all. The problem, the reason there's no cure still today, is Parkinson's affects everyone so differently. So it's very hard to even diagnose. But some of the signs, they believe there's 5 stages, and the first 3 are similar, where you might see tremors. So some people have internal, like my mother, rigidity in the body, so stiffness, and bradykinesia. Also, some have dystonia where your toes will curl and you can't control it. So it's a lot of time. It's almost like if I want to reach and touch the screen, but my body won't allow it. It's very tough. It's the fastest growing neurodegenerative disease in the world. So those are some of the first stages. It moves a little more as time passes to difficulty walking, reduced facial expression. And then when you get to stages 4 and 5, it's the toughest. You can no longer really live alone anymore. You can't be independent because now it's where it's almost impossible for some to even stand and do daily things like dressing, eating, bathing, sleeping, and walking. So my mother was an independent, strong woman. She was divorced but lived alone her whole life, did everything for herself. And when this kind of progressed so quickly, it changed her whole life. Imagine taking, someone's car keys away who relied their whole life, on driving, but because of safety to herself or others, the certain things had to be done. And then the final stage, which is the toughest and was for us, is some will get delusions and hallucinations, and those are at times even scarier than the disease itself. My mother, I remember, we tried everything. In the last 4 years is when it was kind of started to go downhill. We took her to a special program for Parkinson's, and I don't know if they drastically changed her medicine too quickly, but that night she ended up, I got a call at 4 a.m. My father is in New York. He said, "George, rush over to your mother's house." I found her moving her furniture out of her home in fear that there were Nazis inside that were going to harm her. And that's when I rushed to the hospital. They said we saved her life, but that was really the first night of the end of, her independence and my life. And that wasn't even the most scary part. I brought her to the hospital, back to her home to get some clothes. And in the room was these Post-it notes like we used to remind ourselves to come today to our show. She had names of animals and people who were no longer either alive or she just wasn't sure, because that's what delusions and hallucinations do. You lose the ability to understand or perceive what could be reality or not.
Very, very scary stuff for sure. I know on your website you have mentioned meeting and speaking with Michael J. Fox. I just kind of wanted to point out some of the stuff that you had said when you were talking about like dyskinesia and dystonia and things like that. If you go back, anybody who's a fan of Spin City, he started having symptoms on that show, and you wouldn't know because some of his dystonia motions like that and things you think were his comedic timing on responding to people, and not knowing that it is perfect comedic timing. But if you're living the life that George is living now, or know what Parkinson's look like, it's kind of actually scary to go back and watch some of those old Spin City episodes, and you're literally starting to see him deteriorate on screen. And he wasn't out to the public yet, I don't think, when Spin City was occurring. So makes it kind of extra more special maybe that we got to witness some of that, and he was sharing that with us without meaning to share it with us, I guess. Very scary stuff. You do talk a lot about all the scary things with your mom, and I don't think a lot of people really understand some of those, like how terrifying those later steps can really be. Like you mentioned, most people only know it as like the shaking and stuff. What are some of the more happy moments that you remember with your mom?
Yeah, there is a lot of positive in this, even though I lost my mother and my best friend. The people and relationships like both of you that I made now become like family because this is not fun. And it's not a topic that, you kind of, it's not like Game of Thrones or, Harry Potter and things. It's tough stuff. It's life, it's lives. And you don't want to see anyone suffer. Some of the positives are really the reason I picked the cover of the book. This was a picture that meant the world to me. And Parkinson's disease might take a loved one, but it can never take our memories. And that was at my wedding, and it was during the mother and son dance, and it was like literally the one moment I'll just kind of repeats in my brain all day and night. And she was beautiful, and we were just laughing and talking, and it's almost like a movie, like Back to the Future, where they're playing like "Love Angel," the Angel song, and it's obviously it's my mom, but it was like a moment that you can never really forget, and it was just something that Parkinson's will never take from me. But some of the funnier times are Sundays were her favorite time, blowing bubbles with her three grandchildren in the backyard. Uh, we used to have wars, the family, because no one agreed where we're going to order out for lunch that day. So we had a family, a big, now we don't really, it's very small now, but we had like 10 people, and no one would agree on like what kind of food to eat. So we would have like literal holy wars about it. And I kind of didn't like it then, but now I really miss those. So
Yeah.
Aw.
ironically, tomorrow would have been her birthday. So we'll be going to the graveyard, and it's really hard. And I'm young, but I already have my graveyard picked out. It's going to be near her, but I'm going to put I don't know if you know, if I could find it before we leave, but there's a thing. Actually, I'm wearing it. This is the Parkinson tulip. I like live, sleep, and breathe in it. And I'm going to be adding it to my grave site whenever I pass. Hopefully, it won't be anytime soon, but the people out there in this disease have really kind of consumed my life. Again, there is positive out of the darkness, like having the opportunity to meet with you and your audience. And I've become family with so many people today that have Parkinson's that I would never have met. They inspire me and they keep me going. And that's what the new book is about. It's called Resilience. It's called Voices of Resilience. And if you, I don't know if you can see, but it shares journeys with color photos of different people around the world who are fighting Parkinson's. And it's just incredible. I mean, some of these people I wish I had known back then, because the biggest reason I'm on today, or even writing books, is that number one, I spent a lot to self-publish, and I don't accept a penny. I donated everything to the Michael J. Fox Foundation and some other organization, but I felt very alone as a caregiver, and my mother felt even more alone as someone with Parkinson. We didn't even know what it was. We didn't have the time to find out. We didn't even know the resources were actually some out there. We've come more advanced today, but I don't want anyone to ever feel alone out there. Reach out. There are people like me fighting for you, and we want nothing in return.
That's lovely.
Your library of resources with books with your podcasts, I mean, it could fill an entire 10 episodes of this. But can we talk a little bit about what you actually won the award for? Can you talk about that and why you decided to submit the work?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because as an independent publisher, it's not easy. This is a topic that's tough. Some people actually don't want to read it because it's the tougher side of Parkinson's. A lot of the medical professional field always says you don't die of Parkinson's, you die with it. But my mother had no other medical issues her whole life. So she only had Parkinson's. So, they don't want to really see, we have a middle, beginning, and end of life, but people don't want to talk about the end of life. I don't believe in hiding things. I even have a blog monthly called Tackling Tough Topics, where I cover things like medical marijuana, death with dignity. People want to hear these and they want to talk about it. They're just kind of camera shy and don't want to be it. So I'll do it. I'll be the voice for them if I have to. The reason I submitted for the book is really just to get out there. I don't care about accolades. I don't do it for that. But I feel even if we reach just one person right now through the show or through the award or the book, then we might have changed that person's life forever for positive, and that they know that they're never alone.
So your new book it's two new books, correct?
Yeah, it's a funny story. I won't waste your time, but this is actually the original, and you can see it's 600 pages.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it was too much. I mean, some people did get it, so I call it a limited edition. But we decided fast to switch it to now it's 2 books and they're both 300 pages. And it's nice because you don't have to buy, both. If you don't want, you can, but they cover different journeys of different people. And it's much more, this is it actually, this is much more kind of reasonable, not just pricing, but, to be able, I don't want to overwhelm people. My goal was to have 1 book a year, my son's journey, and then only one resilience, but now it became 2. I'm actually working on the next book. I have several already. I'm editing them. The next one might change the world. It's going to be on policing and Parkinson's. My dream is that I want more awareness in the police field, my field, for Parkinson's disease. And I won't get too much into it to take your time, maybe in the future. But right now, if you speak to almost every police academy in the nation, in the U.S., they list Alzheimer's and dementia, but there's nothing for Parkinson's. Well, as you might know now, because we spoke, if you see Michael J. Fox or someone with external tremors and they can't control it, and the police pull them over for even a traffic ticket, that's going to escalate very quickly when they think they might be drunk or a DUI, but it's not, it's Parkinson's, and it's not going to end well. So my dream is it's a pro-positive, pro-police book. It's not a negative one. We have enough of those right now in society. So I'm hoping really with the Michael J. Fox Foundation or an organization possibly go to Congress, have them help me really add the word Parkinson's disease to every academy throughout the nation.
So I want to come back to that, but with the books, are they made up of the same interviews that are on your website? It's completely different?
That's a great point. Yeah, I offer 1,000 interviews on the internet, on the website, togetherforsharon.com, completely free. So yes, everyone can find them there, but I'm a big person who likes a little bit of a book. And I didn't go to the ebook like the rest of the world, and I miss Barnes and Noble, even though I have like one left,
Yeah.
I think. But I like to see it and feel it, and I think it does kind of bring the people, the individuals, the people with Parkinson's, caregivers, and advocates. It brings them to life, and it really helps share. Also, you can reach out to those individuals. They provide their information. Hopefully, one day it's not outdated, but it's all free on the website. The book is a smaller cost. It was very expensive because I wanted to go color, because I don't think like a black and white picture does justice. But now I've kind of wiped myself out, never getting anything monetarily back. But it's okay.
When did you start Together for Sharon? When did that form?
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, my mother passed on 1/1/2020. The only good news is she missed COVID, because that would have been another disaster. But when she passed, we were shocked. I'm still in shock sitting here. I'm still grieving even 4 years, 5 years later. We wanted to give everyone who came to the funeral, and I expected a few people, but it was beautiful. There were about like 50 people. And so we wanted the family to give them something. So we created this little band. It says Parkinson's Disease Awareness, and in the inside, in memory of Sharon Ackerman. So I gave one to everybody in the funeral, and I said, all right, that's it, we'll move on. Someone sent me a picture, though, with the band on, and their face wasn't in it, so it was just their hand. And I kind of made me think, like, I could still have my mother with me 24/7 and bring her around and show people that she's not gone, that her memory still lives on. Well, somehow it went viral. Like, even Willie Geist, the famous NBC host, his wife wore one. Then it was getting all over the world. Like, I had to stop it because I was paying for it all. So we had like 1,000 of them, and people were sending, like, so cool, like sending their arm only with the band from Disney World to like race cars things, the basketball courts, the NBA. They were just incredible, and it's all online. But we do hand them out for free at walks and things, but couldn't afford to keep doing that. So that started the website. And honestly, I thought we'd have like 3 or 4 people visit the site, and I would have been fine with it. We've had over 45,000 people visit in just 4 years. So I don't know if it's because of some of the work we've done, or is it that the just progressing very rapidly. And just the other day, famous athlete Brett Favre, the NFL football player, came out, and he also stated now he has Parkinson's. Somehow I was able to reach him, and if you go to Together for Sharon, you can see here it's a message from Brett and me. He actually says my name. I don't know if you probably wouldn't go.
It was a devastating initial diagnosis, but I'm okay.
I don't want to play the whole thing and take up our time, but you can go to the website And there's a section on PD warriors and celebrities. And I've had messages from Muhammad Ali's daughter, Rashida Ali. I've had Jack Osborne, Ozzy Osbourne has Parkinson's. I met with Michael J. Fox now a few times. And even Leah Thompson from Back to the Future. Michael J. Fox's mom provided a message for Parkinson's awareness. So it's growing, it's getting bigger. We spoke earlier, Ryan Reynolds just kind of came out and spoke about his father's struggle with the hallucinations, delusions, and Parkinson's. Shows the awareness is growing, and it's important in a way. It's sad, but it's also important that now it's becoming a national topic.
Yeah. So you're in South Florida right now. Michael J. Fox is going to be in Orlando in like a couple weeks at the mental health exchange. I can't remember what it's called. Are you going to go see him or?
Yeah, I would love to. It's just tough because of my medical issues. Just today, I had a giant needle in my foot. Don't ask. So I'm glad we were able to still have this today. But yeah, I would have. I actually wanted to meet him again. They said you can only see him speak, so it's not as easy to get over. For when I had the opportunity to meet him, I dropped life to get there, and it was like a movie. Like kind of, you only have a few moments. It flashes by, but it was kind of amazing meeting my hero because what he's done for the Parkinson's awareness movement is just a beautiful thing. He could have kind of went away and led a private life. There are those who do that. There's nothing wrong with it.
How can people support Together for Sharon? Because I know, like, obviously, you were talking about all the giveaways you do and all the stuff that you do that essentially comes out of your pocket. Are there ways that people can donate or support?
No, I appreciate it. We don't want to be a foundation. It might have to go that way someday. It's just with 3 kids and work and everything, it's hard. But I also didn't want it to be that because then it does come a little bit about money, which is nothing wrong because you're raising it for a good reason. But I always thought, like, now you can definitely support us buying the books. I'll probably donate it all, but at least it's showing that, my dream is that these journeys and my mother's are just out there because really speaking to both of you, we're keeping her memory alive right this minute live. There's not much more I can ask for than just people being aware. That if you go to the website, you'll see a link for donations, and that is 3 or 4 organizations who I love and believe in, like the Michael J. Fox Foundation, and they've been beautiful enough to create a link in my mother's memory. So if you donate $1 on the link, it'll go in my mother's memory, but to those organizations.
I want to go back to the very beginning. We have not announced that you are actually Dr. Sharon's son, George. You are not a medical doctor, but you practice law. You are a police officer and you do criminal justice, right?
Yeah, I only played medical doctor on TV. Just kidding. My journey is different, and that's I've been an advocate my whole life. But I started my life. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, saw a lot of crime growing up, and I always wanted to help victims of crime, so I didn't know how to do it. Moved to Florida, studied criminal justice, and I decided I want to go possibly federal. So I worked with the Coast Guard too, auxiliary. And during my time, I fell in love with teaching. I have a passion for education, but I teach criminal justice, my PhD around the world. My background, though, before was I worked at the prosecutor's office and then criminal defense. And then I did police officer. I'm reserved now. I went through the Miami Police Academy. So I found that in the prosecutor's office, you don't have the time that you want to help victims because there's so many. And then as a police officer, I learned, unfortunately, hand a brochure to victim and you have to keep moving. Thankfully, due to my dissertation, which is 300-page book, which you might not want to read because it's a lot more research, but I worked with a group of African American mothers who lost their loved one due to murder, West Palm Beach, Florida, and it was a sad time and a tough group, but it was one that changed my life because when we can really, learn how somebody who has a loss like that can reintegrate themselves back into society through community service, and it's just a beautiful thing. So that was my dream, and it shifted to Parkinson's disease advocacy when I was thrown in like the wolves to the world of Parkinson's. She had it for 15 years. She kind of hid it from us for 7 years. I knew the word Parkinson, but I didn't even know it was a disease. She only had stiffness in her left arm for many years, but we didn't know it was a problem because the doctors about 15 said, you don't die from Parkinson's, you die with it. I mean, I heard it like a broken record. So we never really dreamed like my mother wouldn't have a seat at the table at the holidays, and there was so much to talk about. We don't. That's why I wrote the book. We wouldn't have the time, but I mean, and I'm not sure if you have seen it, but just for a moment, one chapter in the book was actually uh, I kept a journal the last year of her life, and I wrote timestamps and dates of what happened that day, and it's tough. So I can read one little sentence if you don't mind.
Sure.
Uh, so you can see on June 25th, 2019, every day something is not right. The current aid company is not very good at communication, making it tough to provide my mother's care. She thinks the new aide is a murderer and says that she was in prison. And we also thought she had late onset dementia. It's getting worse daily. My mother also yells, curses, and blames me for her Parkinson's, but calls me her father and the names of uh, others like my father, and I know she's not rational. This disease takes over the mind and is killing us all. Mom has been the most positive, caring, loving, and incredible person I ever met, but the disease is taking it all away, as well as her hope. It's horrifying to watch every day, and it's getting worse and worse. I'm just lost. So, it's not some chapters I say you might want to skip, but there are some really positive chapters like advocacy, and now today, how grateful I am to so many people out there.
What do you think your mom would say about all the work that you've done over these last 4 years? Other than I would think, George, go take a vacation and rest for a day, maybe. But what do you think she would say?
I feel like we're me better than her because she actually would say, George, don't waste your time, spend it with your family. Like literally, she wouldn't want me to do all this, but she didn't raise me to just kind of sit back and move on. So I think she would have been proud, but I wish she was here. Wish we didn't have to meet like this. Obviously, I thought we'd have 3 or 4 people. I think I mentioned earlier, see together for Sharon.com, and we've had 45,000. So it's just a beautiful thing that she's still living on, although tomorrow again will be a tough day to visit her. But it's not easy. I mean, I'm 200 pounds, 6'2", and I'm fine now. But sometimes I walk in the other room, my wife is there, and so kind of fall apart because it's it's not, it sucks. So the
Yeah.
whole thing, it's not, But I think it's very important that we keep fighting until I do feel there'll be a cure. And I love nothing more than not do this anymore. Obviously, I'd have the website up, but it's growing more and more. I mean, I can't even find some of the things on the website anymore because it's getting to, it's almost like you said, Together for Sharon has taken a life of its own. There's a lot of organizations today that don't really give me attention because, again, I don't have Parkinson today. I'm no longer a caregiver of someone living with Parkinson, but I feel there's 50 million people who lost a loved one due to Parkinson, but it's almost like the door closes for us for some reason because they don't really want to know that your loved one is no longer here due to the disease. So I don't want to bring controversy or set the records wrong, but every journey is different. Not everyone's the same. But I don't think it's fair to kind of shun or throw out the people who lost a loved one just because they're not here. My mother's voice still matters, and I'm still going to speak up and fight until we find a cure.
Yeah, I think I was going to ask earlier. I feel like not just Parkinson's, but caregivers and for a lot of things kind of tend to go unnoticed. I was kind of curious what your journey, now that your mom is gone, what your journey has been like, but you kind of answered it a little bit there that you just kind of got thrown to the side. Nobody,
Yeah,
nobody
actually,
really wants to pay attention.
I had a long story. I tell a fast forward version, but I have another book ready. I have a book a year. I'm trying. Eventually, I'll stop. I do want to write a funny book, like not funny, but I want to have like a zombies, time travel, and fiction book. But one character will have Parkinson. Is I like it'll have time travel. It'll be like Game of Thrones, but that's in the future. But I do have a book. So I knocked out a 300-page book in a week or two that we're editing now, and I don't want to say the name yet, but it's gonna shed light on the millions of people who lost a loved one and bring them into the fray. Because I feel confident, and it's not happening, that if we went back and took these 80 million people there are people, obviously, who lost loved ones like myself, but if we brought them all back, wouldn't it, I think we'd be much closer to a cure to have them all supporting them. But there's nothing, in my view or opinion, out there for people like me. So we kind of formed our own world, our own movement. I don't want anyone to ever be forgotten. or their lives cut short because of this horrible disease. And I still think my mother was only 69. I do feel she lost 15 years alive due to Parkinson's, plus 15 years after. Because I'm in my foolish mind in 2024, I feel like we should be living to 85, 90, and
100. Yeah.
I could be wrong.
George, I think there are 17 things that you said. This is one thing I'm working on. You've got a lot of things.
You both are
No.
gonna give me an idea for more.
I know I think you keep adding them yourself, which I think is interesting. So we're not going to keep you any longer, so you can go work more and make more great things. Congratulations, and thank you for submitting the work and for allowing us to talk about it.
I really appreciate it. I do have a little message I usually end any show with. This is for both of you and your audience. We love you. We support you. We care a lot about you, and you're never alone. We'll advocate for you, and I feel together our voices are so much stronger. So if anyone would like to support us, please go to togetherforsharon.com. You can link right to Amazon for the books. You can look at the interviews free. You can join us and share our podcast. But the only way we can do this is with everyone on board. And the only journey today that breaks my heart is the one that I'm not aware of. So I just want to thank you for making so many aware of Parkinson's disease and hope for a cure.
This is why George has 19 also different podcasts, because he doesn't need hosts. He has his own. He can do this all by himself. He's the perfect guest.
Well, keep up the work.
Thank you.
I'm amazed by you. You never seem to stop, and I would like some of that energy, please.
After we're done, I'll probably go lay on the floor and cry.
Yeah. Have somebody walk in the back. But also, happy birthday to your mom for tomorrow, and thank you so much for being here today. Holy cow, that was a lot. I got very teary-eyed a couple times. I'm glad I have glasses. I was like trying to position the lights in my
not have the reflection.
Yes. I think at that last moment, I really thought I felt like one starting to come, and I was like, please don't go down my face right now. Like, wait, but it kind of like just stayed in my eyeball. So that was cool. That was great.
Well, and you continue to work with, vulnerable populations in the work that you do outside of this. And I've done it. And when you find other people who are doing kind of what's it called? Thankable. What's the word? The, not unthinkable, but whatever I'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
Tireless, your heart goes to them because they're just the people who work so hard. Thankless jobs. There you go.
Yes, thankless. Yeah.
And everything he's putting into it, it is exhausting to hear about. Like I said, he needs a break. But when you have that passion, you just have to go for it. And that's what he's doing. So I'm glad he submitted and that we get to talk about it.
I knew before we met on today, but when he submitted, I didn't know these other books were coming out. I just knew about the interviews that he won for. So interviews people of all different things, not just Parkinson's. A long time. This is so random, but this was like probably 15, 20 years ago. I remember watching like a 2020 episode or something like I was in high school. Yeah. But I really was like in high school, maybe my senior year in high school, watching something that was like weird for a teenager to be watching. But they were talking about how riding a bicycle gets rid of Parkinson's tremors. And I want to know if that's like a thing still, or they were like, oh, that was only temporary, and then you end up breaking your leg, or
Yeah, that's what we thought was the cure back in 1992. Yeah.
Yeah. That was heavy.
Mm-hmm. It was fun. It was good to talk to you.
It was good. Very informative. So everybody listening, thank you all for listening. Go take a hot bath and decompress after all that. Find, I want to say this all the time, but I never say it, but like find a charity you're passionate about and go help them. Like sometimes it's just $1 to help that makes the world to somebody. Sometimes it's an hour of your time and makes the world to somebody. Like go find the thing you're passionate about and, help it.
Yeah. Go make someone's day richer.
Yes. Go make somebody's day richer, just like my beautiful.
Make ours richer by liking and subscribing and following us here at Wolf Media Fest Podcast. We'll see you next week.
See you later. Bye. Wolf Media Festival Podcast with Kyle Hollingsworth, Richard Wilmore, and Jacquelynn Wolfheart. Produced and edited by me. I'm Jacquelynn Wolfheart. Don't forget to check out the links in the description to find ways you can connect with our guests. Thanks for checking us out today and tuning in every week wherever you get your podcasts.